Evening, y'all. Chief Prepper here. Uh, just wanted to go over some stuff. I've learned over the years when you concentrate too hard on a problem, it tends to get to be like a butterfly where it's elusive. But when you just periodically sit and contemplate on things, you kind of figure some stuff out. Uh, so there's like a few things I'm going to talk about, things to point out. Walgreens is closing. I've heard, so it'll take this to heart, but I've heard they're closing like 1,000 stores between them and CVS. I don't know how many exist across America. That means it's going to get harder, and medications are going to get harder to get. So, I said a while back, get your antibiotics ASAP. My Jace Medical antibiotic second case, because I ordered one a couple years ago, should be here tomorrow, I hope. Antibiotics is a game changer. That's all I can tell you. Do some research. Macy's came out in the news today is closing 150 stores across America. So that really doesn't affect me because I don't shop there. I'm more of a Wranglers, Dickies, work clothes type guy than I am a suit and tie guy. But what that means is the people that are shopping there, they're shopping less. And that means that the financial pinch that all of us poor people have been feeling is hitting the rich people. So just so you know, the trickle down shit don't work. Is what I can tell you for a fact. When you tax the rich, they fire people. The two biggest things that eat into a company's profits are the personnel and the real property assets, buildings, machinery, that kind of thing. So I can say pretty confidently the last 3+ years of Biden has pretty much destroyed our economy. Houston, a week plus, as of yesterday, still 200,000 customers without power. They attempted to assassinate former President Trump. There's some shit that needs to be answered for with regards to that. We're 6 weeks into this year's hurricane season. Think about that. If you're in Texas or the Gulf Coast or the Eastern Seaboard, rolling blackouts. 12 to 16% was the last thing I saw starting in August for Texas. So, having said all that, and then we got some kind of respiratory disease fucking going around down here in Texas. I've had it for about a month now. I can't think of the name of it, but it's disease something. So it seemed to abate it, but the cough and the throat issue has hung around for a while, like for the last 3 weeks. But this is not medical advice. I'm just going to tell you what I've been doing. I've been taking a couple of swigs, very light swigs of Fireball liqueur, and it has started killing whatever's in my throat. So I'm going to take some here in a little bit. So if you watch YouTube, if you're watching my channel, I'm assuming you're watching a lot of the other ones. I'm getting ready to try and watch Angry Prepper because he had somebody on there saying it's going to get worse. So all the predictions are that it's going to get worse between now, I'll probably say even through the elections, like in the winter, spring of next year. So I did a video and advised people who live abroad to move home. Because basically the only thing is that the only reason people overseas love you is because you're an American and you bring American dollars. Well, if you're overseas at the beginning of the dollar collapse and you can't unask the area and get home, and you have nothing here, what little your dollar will buy here will buy less overseas. We will go from being the top dog to being the bottom feeder. All right. What else do you need to be told to start becoming a prepper? You know, I did a video saying you need low maintenance meals. You need an alternate way to heat up food. You need different cookware if you're going to cook over a fire. If you're like me, I'm a coffee hound. You know, you need a different way to cook or make coffee without an electric pot. So I have an old percolator that I actually need to break out and try once or twice before I actually need to, because I don't want to be learning when I have to. All right. You know, I'm diligently working on my back porch. I basically took a week off after last week. I think I'm going to be able to get the last panel on tomorrow. And, excuse me, I may start working on the, what do you call it? The door. But the door is perplexing me. And I'm, my table saw that is very small. It's actually supposed to be a tabletop, but I have it mounted to a stand. I was trying to cut a 4x4 at a 45-degree angle and it didn't work, but my blade is old, so today I got a new blade. I'm going to try and cut it 4x4 again because I need to put things in a certain place and mount them a certain way to create a door, and I haven't quite figured that out. I did contact Carvana, and basically I'm about $10,000, $11,000 upside down on unloading my Challenger and freeing up that money. So, and doing that, which is pretty much what I figured. I have a plan. So I'm either going to sell the Challenger at a loss or pay it down and then eat the loss, or refinance it, and then that'll free up money every month. And then if I decide to keep it, and then my plan is in the next 45, 50 days to pay off my wife's bike, and then start working on the Challenger. And then Christmas will be here, and then at least while the government's writing checks, I'll get a pay raise. So I have a confession to make. I made some really good financial decisions. Paying down debt, that was my whole purpose, was going to be our whole purpose. And then my dad had his issue when we sold his house. Things got better. But I know realistically he's not going to be here much longer. So I really need to make certain things count and make preparations for that day. Sounds maybe bad, but he lacks for nothing. But I talk to him, but sometimes kind of doesn't know what's going on, and I feel bad because I know his quality of life is much better than if he was in a home. But at the same time, it makes me sad because I think he knows he's waiting to die. So that will tend to break your spirit, if that makes any sense. So I've said in person to many people that I've talked to about this process, you're coming into this world crapping on yourself, and I say a different word, and you leave this world crapping on yourself. So hopefully for all the people who are Gen X and older, you did a good enough job raising your kids. If you have more than one, or if you just have one, that one or one of the ones will take care of you, because you will need help. But back to prepping. You know, that's a mountain that you have to walk up when you're doing prepping. And it starts the same for everyone. You know, food, water, shelter, security, medication. You and then possibly a bug out location, and then, you know, keep hearing and seeing this shit on YouTube that I'm pretty sure it's fair porn, but you have to kind of listen to it and sift through it to kind of figure out if it's something you need to consider or cover down on. So I did have a car up for sale for like, I want to say 5 weeks. I only had a couple of people ask me about it. Everybody oohs and ahs over it, but ain't nobody got no money right now. So I would heed many prepping channels advice. Pay as much debt down as you can. Get rid of it. Because I can't sell that older car, even though I bought a new car that I dearly love. One of the reasons I'm looking at getting rid of it is just I don't need two unique cars that are a problem with the driving. Or one, I don't want to get scratched or dented when you park somewhere. The other one is old and unique, and people that like it tend to be the ones that want to steal it. So the other one is also, it's not on the top 10 list in Texas, but I know I've heard of people who go somewhere in them and park them, and when they come out, they're gone. So, what else? If you buy into everything's going to get worse between now and the election, for me, it's probably going to be even post-election, maybe even much worse post-election, because I don't think anybody's going to be happy. Half the country's going to hate the other half. We already hate each other, but stuff is getting out of hand. So somebody made a comment on my advice to move home that people have been saying Jesus is coming back for the last 100 years and the U.S. is going to go bankrupt for the last 100 years. And I said, I agree. I said, however, 100 years ago, we didn't have 35 trillion in debt and growing. It's probably going to be 36 or 37 trillion before Biden leaves office. And then most people don't know that the original Bible was not written in English. I want to say it was written in Hebrew or Latin. I don't actually know, but I know it wasn't English. It was the King James Bible was a translation of that Bible, or the original language. And the King James Bible has been rewritten several times. So if you get one of the older King James Bibles, and then you compare it to a modern Bible, well, you're probably going to find some discrepancies. So what you have to ask yourself is, who is controlling that and why? Right? My best friend in Washington State, he and I are of the same opinion. There's no man alive today, even if he's called by God, that can tell you what God thinks or knows. And anything that was written over 2,000 years ago has been translated and retranslated. How are you to know? Now, some people might say that's blasphemy, or you have to have faith. I have faith. I have faith in this. There is a God and there is a devil. And you have to choose what you want to do. Do you want to walk with God, or do you want to dance with the devil? All right? And there are no actions to earn your way into heaven. Based on what I've seen, the church hides terrible people. It doesn't matter whether it's Catholic or Protestant. I think in the end, you're going to be judged on what kind of heart you have. Do you have a cruel, mean heart? Do you take pleasure in being mean and hurting or killing things? Then I would hope that that is not what is allowed to be in heaven, but it's not my choice. There's too many instances over the years of people who, at the last second said, okay, God, whatever happened. No one can know. So, I used to be a fan of Tom Cruise. I'm not anymore. I don't like people who say they're as good as a veteran. Veteran is is a title that's earned. I don't like most veterans because most of the ones running around thumping their chest on a veteran aren't very good. But Tom Cruise in The Last Samurai, when the Emperor asked him, tell me how he died, he said, I will tell you how he lived. So we ain't getting out of this life without the last date. And that date was with death. So I would tell all of you to concentrate on how you live, and when death knocks on your door, answer it and say, okay. Leave the rest to God and the devil. If there's any truth through all the fucking fear porn that's out there, if you really want to spend all of your last minutes prepping and doing everything in your power to be so ready, there's a decent chance you're still going to die. If you just think about that, especially depending on where you are location-wise. Do you have antibiotics? Do you have bushcrafting skills? Can you make fire? Can you boil water? Can you filter water? Can you hunt? Can you fish? Can you grow crops? Can you grow vegetables? Do you have cast iron cookware? Do you have a way to stay out of the shelter? So here's something that a lot of people don't talk about. They talk about the elements, they talk about the weather. What about the critters? What about the snakes, the spiders, the scorpions? What about something that we really don't think about? Mosquitoes. Down here in Texas, mosquitoes carry some fucking diseases. Recently in the news, Killeen is known to have 5 hotspots for dengue fever. You realize if we go to a world where we don't have electricity for a long time, do you have somewhere like the back porch that I'm building? I've been working on with Juan for the last year and a half, where you have a place to go to get mostly out of a place where mosquitoes cannot easily get to you, where you can plug in a fan, where you can keep a refrigerator and a freezer, and if you have power for a little while, keep them both cold. You have solar generators with solar panels. You have gas and propane generators. You have the electrical grid to plug all that shit into so that you have that capability. So, long video. Sorry about that. But preparedness is a journey and a mindset. And on top of that, it takes years to get stuff to a certain place. Why am I saying that? I planted grapevines 3 years ago. They came back last year. I got 1 clump of grapes. I need to go check on them again. They were thriving and doing well this year. 2 years in a row, I planted blackberry bushes. And 2 years in a row, I mowed. This year, I only mowed over 1 of them. So I got 1 that's surviving. I have lemon and lime trees that I have in big planters. I have limes out the wazoo this year. Last year, none. I have an apricot tree in my yard, and I have an apple tree. The apple tree I thought was dead, but it's come back. But I've never gotten I got 1 small apple off of it in 12 years of being here. We've lost the knowledge and skills to live in a world where we don't have electricity and modern conveniences. That is something that is going to kill people. Without medicine, without electricity, without the ability to produce our own food, it's bad. Now, the Trump assassination, there's been plenty of channels saying how close we were to chaos. And there's a reason both the Republicans and the Democrats are calling for a calming. It's because they both know that if we go to civil war, they lose power. I don't think it's because they care about anybody. I think it's because they want to maintain power. So you need to keep that in mind. Because if we're killing each other on that kind of scale, what does the government actually have? What does the Democrats, the Republicans, the Independents, the Libertarians, what do they actually offer? I realize lawyers, bankers may have some power when that happens, but lawyers, not so much. Doctors, lots. Police, maybe. So here's a little interesting fact. Something that the governments of the world don't want you to know. There are not enough police officers in any country to control violence, or to protect you, or to keep you safe. The bad guys ever figured out what I'm getting ready to say. If they hunt and kill the cops, even 10 or 20% of a police force, or even 5. Because it takes years for a police officer to learn how to be a police officer. Just like it takes a couple years for a soldier to learn how to be a soldier. Or anybody in a blue-collar trades thing, or even in college or business. It takes years for you to learn stuff. The bad guys and the cops have unwritten rules. But if the bad guys ever decided to get the cops are easy to hunt. If you know what you're looking for, you can spot them in a crowd. They stand out like sore thumbs. Just like if you know what gang tattoos to look for, gang members stand out like sore thumbs. So if shit hits the fan for real, if you think you're going to be protected by something, ladies specifically, you need a man in your fucking life that can protect you. They can go heels. They can take on a lot. All right. I made a mistake on YouTube. I looked on one video, MGTOW, men go their own way, and how the feminist movement and the women are regretting things. And now my goddamn YouTube feed is full of that shit. And I'm like, well, ladies, if you are unwilling to do the only thing a man needs you for, we don't need you for friendship. It'd be nice if we were friends. We don't need you specifically for companionship. Because if I'm a man and I don't have any friends, you should probably leave me alone. If you as a woman don't want to do the things that a woman does, because you've been taught to hate men, and you don't need us, guess what? We need you, and you need us, and we're not equal. We should treat each other equally with respect and dignity, but we're not equal. We're supposed to complement each other. That's the way God created it. Anyway, gone on long enough, almost 25 minutes. Information is knowledge and power. Live a little, prep a lot, share the love. Chief Prepper, out.